Not, wait for it, guilty, hold, bitch. What a clown fuck, folks. A case that never should have been brought to trial, entailing self-evident self-defense you could spot from Saturn, and still, because of the open-air Weimar weenie roast we call Kenosha and the corruption incumbent to the locale, we went to wasting world-rending sums of fucking money on an actual public trial. Also, establishment Dems and dip fucks in the Mesozoic media could tell themselves they tried and have plausible deniability when they continue to call him and all of his supporters a fucking Nazi, which a year on from the event, can someone, anyone, explain Kyle Rittenhouse's Birkenau bona fides exactly? Kyle Rittenhouse wasting two white dudes in self-defense is like the weirdest new form of white supremacy I have ever heard of. I wasn't aware Kitty Diddler was a fucking race. Who knew Epstein's Island was a fucking country? You remember Epstein's Island, the place we're not talking about because we're bloviating about this wafer-thin bullshit instead? So here's the story. Kid is cleaning up graffiti outside his workplace all of 20 miles from his fucking house. He spots a dumpster fire, and right next to CNN, someone's setting actual dumpsters on fire. When he attempts to extinguish the fiery but mostly peaceful fire, shots ring out, and not from Kyle Rittenhouse's AR. Surrounding him, Glantifa attempt to attack. He makes a hasty retreat, but stumbles, spins, and as one approaches with a skateboard and the other with a loaded fucking firearm, he terminates two tankies in rapid succession and leaves a third with a limp wife-beating arm. And before any of you basic bitches fire off 1,000 recitations of the phrase across state lines, most of those dudes who attacked the Kenosha kid had a longer hike to get there than he did. And unlike Kyle Rittenhouse, they didn't happen to work and thus regularly commute to the area for any fucking reason. And before the rest of you rereads in the celebrity sphere or mainstream sports spheres claim Kyle should have found another way, yeah, let's see Colin Kaepernick take a knee in the middle of the street, surrounded by a feral mob of firearm-wielding fellow travelers, put a black rifle in his hands, and just see if he starts singing "Give Peace a Fucking Chance." The ACLU wants to weigh in after the fact, claiming the system in Kenosha, of all places, is weighted in favor of white people. First the fuck off! Where was the American Civil Liberties Union when a coven of commies were about to splatter Kyle's civil liberties all over the Kenosha asphalt? And second, last I checked, Kyle Rittenhouse wasn't even fully white. You know who was, though? Derek Chauvin. How'd his case go again? Last I saw, the villagers were chasing him out of the courtroom with fucking torches, and that motherfucker's almost as white as your donors. Appeals are a bitch, though, and I have a hell of a feeling that's not gonna go Kenosha's way in the long run. I mean, you knew it was bad when one of the attackers, you know, the one armed with a gun, put his best bicep forward on the witness stand to support the prosecution's puerile case, and unwittingly made himself a prize witness for the fucking defense.
But on cross-examination, the defense went through the video again, at times second by second.
When you were standing 3 to 5 feet from him with your arms up in the air, he never fired, right?
Correct.
It wasn't until you pointed your gun at him, advanced on him, with your gun, now your hands down, pointed at him, that he fired, right?
This is going to be a shame.
Correct.
Hello.
I remember at a certain point in this abject subconstitutional cock-flattening, the precise moment I made the decision not to weigh in on this case until its conclusion. I was watching a socialist sea creature point a stick at a blurry, blown-up image of what may as well have been a Roswell alien autopsy, and out of absolute curiosity that evening, I flipped to CNN to peep the Politburo's coverage, wherein they were praising it as a paralegal kill shot. It was at that precise moment I peered out the window into the Arizona sky and thought to myself, if this cat is acquitted or not, the end game in the mainstream media is to make sure he will never be vindicated. Kyle Rittenhouse was outright denied due process. He was denied an impartial jury because in our perpetually connected, social media suffused society, in a case this publicized for purely political purposes, what jury under the yellow sun could even pretend to impartiality without an underlying motive? He was convicted in the court court of public opinion over a year before his day in court, and he will remain that regardless of the verdict. If you watch my channel, you already know I've hit the executive and legislative branches of our government harder and faster than Chris Brown's speed dating. But you also know that the branch of government I harbor the deepest, abiding acrimony for is judiciary. And cases like this are precisely why. If our contradictorily titled justice system has no mechanism for redress in a case of such transparent and engineered injustice, folks, it's time for a fucking new one. It doesn't matter that he was acquitted. This shouldn't have been a court case, you cunts.
For attorney Carl Lewis, the Kyle Rittenhouse trial came down to reasonable doubt.
He's carrying the weapon, and something happens, and he defends himself. So I don't think it was reckless. Some people will say, well, he was running down the street. Well, there was a protest. There was a mob scene.
The prosecutor is either spineless or he's an idiot. And it's embarrassing to prosecutors around this country that know the law, know how it should be even-handed, no matter who is being shot, who shoots. That's not the issue, what color they are, if they're gay, it doesn't matter.
He says what's clear is that Rittenhouse acted to protect himself. That's something Lewis agrees with as well.
I think he responded to something he felt was a threat. You have the right to bear arms.
This kid was caught in 4K defending his own life after being shot at. Even then, he attempted to flee like a Frenchman from a draft board, but when he tripped, he whirled, unslung his AR, and unloaded one into a wife beater and one into a kitty boffin Bolshevik. And now Kenosha and the country at large is down 2 assholes. Drat! And that's without even touching on the homicidal Mega Man boss by the name of Jump Kick Man. Have you seen this retard's rap sheet? It's like a Dead Sea Scroll. Just like Zimmerman before him, this was a purely political prosecution, and one that's becoming alarmingly routine out of the authoritarian regime in the White House, not to mention the unelected officials who will survive them long after Biden's been put out to pasture. You remember Biden, right? The Jeff Dunham puppet who tried to openly interfere with this case while shambling for fucking office, and Palooka Joe's still pounding away at the injustice anvil, might I add. Now, just to save face after fucking this kid's entire life up for political purposes so they can continue stoking the flames of urban insurrection, Dumpty Humpty himself, Jerry Nadler, wants to wield the DOJ like a fucking battle axe to pursue federal fucking charges. Well, if I could elevate Nadler's blood sugar long enough to even talk to this twink, I'd tell him 2 things. 1, a collarbone is not a belt. And 2, political prosecutions are illegal. You broke the law, asshole. You don't get to use it anymore. I'm Razor Fist. God fucking speed.